Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I am so excited. I'm actually sitting with my guest, who is the host of the Bad Crypto podcast.
You're next to Joel.
Exactly. And
Who's next to Madison?
I'm in the Bad Crypto Magic Studio
place
where all the magic happens.
This is actually, it doesn't happen here. It happens in my place, but all the recordings I do in front of my PC in the other room. People can't. Well, you can see where I'm pointing there.
Yeah.
But the studio here is in my living area, and what you can't see on video, but maybe we'll get you some B-roll.
Yeah.
Is the incredible view of the Rocky Mountains in the sunset that's happening right now.
It's amazing. That's why I decided to buy fake tits, because when I left Colorado, I missed the mountains. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to get my own set.
I didn't have to buy fake ones. I'm just getting them naturally. And
it's the beer, right? Are you a Coors Light guy?
I don't drink beer.
You don't?
I don't. I drink. If I drink wine. Okay. I never liked beer. I drank it because, when I was an older teenager, because that's what my peers did. Mm-hmm. They could drink beer. And I was always kind of like, I didn't get the appeal. And then in college, of course, I was in a frat and they drink tons of beer.
You kind of have to.
So it was more like medicinal than anything.
Yeah.
But I was more of a stoner. I smoked a lot of weed.
Well, then you live in the right state. You guys were currently sitting in Colorado. And the guy talking, I haven't even introduced him yet, is Joel Combs. He is a tech entrepreneur and author, the host of the Bad Crypto podcast, a crypto enthusiast. I like to say he's a crypto expert, but he doesn't like to use that word. So we're not going to use it. So today's episode is going to be all about crypto.
Oh, okay.
And I'm really excited about it because crypto is like the hot new thing. People started getting into Bitcoin a little bit as kind of a joke. I feel like back in the early teen, 10, it came out in 2010. Tens. Yeah, the tens.
I don't think they got into it as a joke. I think people who got into it because the technology was cool and they just wanted to play with it.
I feel like nobody understood it until the last 4 years.
The people who were who were there in the beginning that created it obviously understood it, and the early adopters who were banging the drum saying this is world changing.
Yeah.
They got it, but it used to be, so this is before I got into it, that you'd be able to go to a website and they'd have Bitcoin Faucets, which basically you go to the site and it just spits out Bitcoin at you.
I remember that. They were like ATMs. They had a couple in the bars in New York and like these Lower East Side area.
Oh, but that's buying Bitcoin, right? I'm talking about you'd be able to go and for free, you would be able to get Bitcoin on your computer.
Wow. So it was out back in the day when people were able to mine it?
Yeah. They mined it. You still can mine it. You just, we can't without having the types of server gear that you need now. Right, it's much more difficult to mine Bitcoin because it's very competitive.
Yeah.
It costs a lot to mine a Bitcoin. It costs a lot in electricity, and it costs a lot in, server farms, right? Because it's so competitive, and that's why they get rewarded for Bitcoin, for mining Bitcoin. And
so let's explain that for people that don't understand, because you can mine cryptocurrency, right? So we'll stay on Bitcoin right now. What does the whole mining process mean?
That's a great question. And the reason it's great is because I remember hearing about Bitcoin years ago. I officially bought my first piece of Bitcoin in 2017, so it's been almost 4 years. But I probably heard about it in 2012, 2013, because I've got my ear to the ground and like, what's the buzz? What's the new toys and gizmos? But at that time, I was going through some other stuff in my life, and I didn't pay attention. But the real reason I didn't pay attention to it was because I didn't understand it.
Right.
What does this mean, mining Bitcoin? Is there a little man inside my computer going ding, ding, ding,
right.
ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is spitting out, and then where is it? And I understood the concept of digital money, but I didn't get mining Bitcoin. And it wasn't until I understood what mining Bitcoin was that the lights went on. I went, oh, shiz, this is world changing. I mean, I got into the internet really towards the beginning. I've been dialing in to the online world since 1980. So if that doesn't date me, nothing will.
Wow, you got a good skincare routine because you look very young.
Thank you. It was my TRS-80 Model 1 computer with 4K of RAM and a 300 baud dial-up coupler modem. You know, you get that sound coming from the modem from the phone lines. And I was dialing into BBSs before we even had an internet, right? Mm-hmm. But in 1995, I built my first website, and I was like, this is going to change the world.
Yeah.
And when I understood Bitcoin mining, I had deja vu all over again and again. It was Groundhog Day.
So this is like the 3.0 revolution. You had the first one with the internet, and then the second one with the .coms. Yeah. And now.
And then there was that time in college that was.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself when I discovered it, oh my gosh, this feels like that. That's how impactful this is. And I don't fully get it, but I want to play and I want to be in this because I don't want to miss this.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is mining exactly?
Okay. So first of all, let me explain a couple things that people may not understand. They hear the terms Bitcoin and they hear the term blockchain.
Yes.
And they think the two are interchangeable. They're not. Blockchain is the technology
it runs on.
Correct. It's the foundation. It's like the train tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get all metaphorical here.
Perfect.
And metaphysical. And meta. So Bitcoin and the other cryptos run on blockchain technology. And the way I like to explain blockchain is it's a super fancy, efficient, effective database. Mm-hmm. It's a ledger. Now I'm old enough to remember checkbooks. Remember,
right.
And you'd write checks, and then you'd put in the ledger, I wrote this check to Target for this much, and then you get your statement each month, and you'd balance that checkbook. And sometimes you'd make a mistake. Sometimes the bank would make a mistake, and you'd have to figure it out with them, and who's right, who's wrong, who gets their money, who doesn't. Well, with blockchain technology, we don't have those problems anymore. There's no double spend issue. There's no wrong amount issues. Everything is tracked on this public ledger, which is unhackable. Mm-hmm. Has never been hacked. Somebody right now is going, wait, I heard somebody lost a lot of money and got hacked and lost their Bitcoin. That wasn't the blockchain being hacked. That was them being stupid, right?
Yes.
That was their SIM on their phone getting jacked, right? Somebody taking over their phone. That was them going to a phishing website and putting in private information, being careless, leaving their crypto on exchanges that can be hacked. But the blockchain itself is unhackable. It's not been done. So it's a public ledger that you can see the history of all transactions from the very beginning. So that includes the Bitcoin blockchain. You can go all the way to the very first Bitcoin that was mined. You can go all the way and see the first one that was spent. It's all there. So with that kind of foundation set for blockchain and Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be in existence.
And how did they come up with that number?
You would have to read Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper that was released in December of 2008. I think it just algorithmically, it just made sense that there needs to be a finite amount, right? Because with our dollars or euros, we have what's called fiat currency. It's paper money. It's pretty much, it's worthless.
It is, yeah.
Right? We used to be on the gold standard.
Yes.
And precious metals are my precious.
What was it, 70s they took us off that gold standard?
Yeah, Nixon took us off the gold standard, and now we have the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor a reserve. It's not a branch of the government. It's basically the big banks that are a conglomerate that decide how the money supply is going to work, and they print it, and they print it, and the printers go brrr, and they just keep spitting out money.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be a fifth grader to understand the more you make of something, the less rare it is.
Right. Yeah.
And the value goes down.
Right.
So the dollar is inflationary. Bitcoin, the way it's written in the code, it's not changeable. Somebody can't just go in and say, well, I'm gonna work this code here on my computer so that now there's 42 million. I just double the supply. Can't do that because the code is decentralized. It's on computers all over the world. So some person can't go in and change the code. It's just not doable. all transactions would automatically reject because it's not using the authentic code.
Right.
So there's 21 million of them ever. That makes it deflationary.
Mm-hmm.
So 21 million is the number, and here we are as of this recording in early 2021, and about 18 and a half of those 21 million have been mined. What that means is they've been brought into supply.
Yes.
Okay. So how does that work? You've got a distributed network of computers that are running the core Bitcoin code. And somebody, because it's decentralized, needs to validate transactions. Right?
Mm-hmm.
With you write me a check, make it a big one, please. I take it to my bank. My bank calls your bank. They validate that, hey, this is good and the transaction's good. Move the money from here to there. From your account via the bank to my bank into my account, right? You got these middlemen in there. Well, with Bitcoin, there's no bank. There's no Bitcoin Inc. There's no CEO. There's no company. It doesn't exist. It's decentralized. So,
which is great, so nobody can fuck it up.
Correct. Well, our governments and governments of the world are trying to, right? Because they can't control it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too, because which is what makes it so attractive.
It's very attractive for that reason. One of the many reasons. So you've got this decentralized currency, digital money. It's ones and zeros, but it needs to be brought into circulation. And the way that works is when I do a Bitcoin transaction, and let's say I send you half a Bitcoin. Congratulations. It's worth about 18,000 right now. So worth coming over here and doing this interview.
100%. Sure. I wish that was true.
So what happens is I send it from my wallet address to your wallet address directly. It's a peer-to-peer payment system. So with no middlemen, how do we record that transaction on the ledger so that the half a Bitcoin I just sent you, damn, I sent you too much. That's a wealthy visit. That was so worth the drive.
Yeah.
That half a Bitcoin needs to get from my wallet to your wallet without a middleman with no error. Well, here's what happens. There is a very complex mathematical computation that takes place. And if you are on the Bitcoin, if you're a node on the Bitcoin network, you are trying to solve that complex mathematical calculation. There is a solution to it. Mm-hmm. It is a absolute solution to this what they call it is a hash.
Okay.
Right? I'm not going to get overly technical here. Let's just say I'm giving you a math problem, and there's computers all over the world that are going and crunching away and using electricity and processor power to try to solve this problem first. You need 6 validators to confirm a Bitcoin transaction for the network to say, there you go, it's confirmed, the Bitcoin can now be moved. And it happens transparently. Well, those people that have these validator nodes are miners. That's what they're doing. Their job is to validate the transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. And when they do, those 6 that validate, they get Bitcoin from the unmined supply. And that's how it comes into existence. That's how baby Bitcoins are born.
Isn't that great? Well, if there's only 3 million, what happens when they're all mined? Who's then going to do the transactions?
That's a great question. So first of all, every 4 years built into the code is something called a halving.
Oh, yes, that was on one of my questions. So let's get into that.
So a halving and a doubling. Basically what it means is a halving is the reward. Well, the difficulty of the mathematical words that need to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Math.
The equation.
Thank you. One word sometimes says it all.
Exactly.
The complexity of the equation gets twice as difficult to solve, automatically built into the code. So now it costs more electricity, costs more processor power, and you get half of the actual Bitcoin as a reward. That's the halving part of it. So it is this logarithmic type of scale that every 4 years, it's every set number of blocks on the blockchain, which comes out to about every 4 years. This kicks in And now you've got this halving that takes place, making it harder to mine Bitcoin. But half the reward comes out. So, at the beginning, tons of Bitcoin came out, but over time, fewer and fewer come out. So it's actually going to take 100 years until that last Bitcoin is mined.
Isn't that amazing? So the halving of it makes it less desirable for the miners because they're getting less, but it's going to drive. Is it going to drive up the price of the actual Bitcoin?
There you go. I think that's a good conclusion, right? One of the reasons the price of Bitcoin goes up is first you've got scarcity, right? There's only so many that are out there, and then it gets more expensive to mine them. So you have to be able to cover the costs. It makes sense if your cost of manufacturing a good is $10 this year and you put 100% markup on it, it's going to retail it for $20. Well, next year, if it costs you $20, guess what? You're going to go sell it for $40. So it's the same notion here. It's just pure economics, and so the brilliance of this.
So having is a good thing.
Having is a good thing.
So it's a good thing for the. So if you're mining, if you're somebody who's mining crypto or another, or Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, a halving might be like, okay, I'm going to get paid less in the crypto, but it's going to be worth more on the market.
Right. She's got to have it.
Yeah. So it's not such a bad thing.
Halve. She's got to halve it.
Halve it.
Halve it.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, the halvening. And people are like, what does this mean? So
it means you can't speak English.
Here's a question that I was asked recently, and I don't know the answer. When you go into like Coinbase and you buy Bitcoin, where does the money go? The fiat dollars. Where's it go?
You mean when you spend the money, it goes into Coinbase's account.
And then they just issue it? Because it's interesting. People are saying, oh, I'm buying Bitcoin. I'm buying Ethereum.
They have liquidity. It's like a stock market, right? There's a market for it. There's a market.
So is it going into somebody's account? Or just the exchange's account? Which
are you talking about? When you give them,
if I buy a Bitcoin, and let's just say Coinbase, because it's a very popular platform.
Right. Where does the Bitcoin go?
Where does the money go?
The money you spent? Well, that you just paid. They just exchanged with you. You said, here's $1,000, and they said, great, we'll take your $1,000, and here's $1,000 in Bitcoin at the current.
That's the exchange.
That's the exchange.
Okay, because people are like, where does the money go?
It's like buying, a stock, right? I'll take a share of Apple for $150. Okay, good. Here's the $150. The exchange now took your money. Here's the share of Apple.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Although I think Apple's higher than that now.
So, so where do you see? There's been a lot of speculation.
It turned off the video.
It's all right. We'll just have it.
You guys just gonna have to pretend that.
We'll take a picture so you can see.
I mean, it's not like we're doing anything super interesting. We're just talking and
we're just
looking
sitting
at
here.
each other.
I did my hair for this. No, I'm just kidding. I really didn't.
I did too. See this? It's kind of fluffy.
There you go. You got the coif going.
Yeah.
So there's speculation that people have said Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. I've heard 240,000. I've heard 1 million. What do you think?
I think I don't know.
Okay.
But based on history, I believe that unless the governments of the world do everything they can to get in the way of it, like by making it illegal to hold Bitcoin, and even if they do, that doesn't necessarily stop it. It just makes it more challenging for people to get it, to trade it, to use it. Doesn't mean people won't. I think it's a very realistic thing to say Bitcoin could hit $1 million. Again, there's only 21 million of them.
So do you think that if the government doesn't get in the way and that we can take the government back and they're working for us again, because they're making it seem like we're working for them, that cryptocurrency has, like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, and there's others coming up, has the possibility of becoming the reserve dollar?
I think what's more likely, I mean, there was two parts to that question. If we can take our government back, it doesn't work like that. It is a swamp. It is a beast. It's not something that's taken back. It's an ongoing struggle of power, right? Nobody's going to come in and completely drain the swamp.
Right.
Right. We want that fairy tale ending, but no matter what you do, there's always going to be corruption And
Yeah.
what we're seeing now is corruption off the charts. But what was the question?
That it could become the reserve
Oh,
currency.
right. So more likely what's going to happen is, first of all, fiat currencies, every fiat currency, paper monies of the world, every one of them has collapsed over time.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them. We are not immune to it. And all you have to do to see the signs of it is to know that $1 today, can't buy what $1 even 10 years ago could buy.
Mm-hmm.
And forget about 20 years ago or longer than that, right? But it's still $1. Why can't it buy? Inflation. So the value goes down. They print more. Look at Venezuela, where the bolivar there, they print them. They have them by the trillions. You could have stacks of them, and you're better off using it as toilet paper because their inflation rate is something like 70,000%.
Unbelievable.
Insane. And this is a once lavish, beautiful, very successful economically country, right? It was the jewel of South America.
Yeah.
And they brought in socialism, and now they have dictator, and that's his name, Dictator.
Yeah.
Maduro, his real name is
God.
Richard Tater. And they screwed everything up, and people are going hungry, and they're dying, and they're getting sick, and there's bread lines, and it's horrible. Horrible, horrible. And that's our fiat currency will collapse. It has to happen. It's inevitable. It's the, entropy. Everything goes from a state of order to decay. And fortunately, out of the last Wall Street scandal in 2008, we got Occupy Wall Street, but out of that was born the idea of Bitcoin, a decentralized peer-to-peer cryptocurrency that was not dependent on the world governments or the world financial systems.
Which again makes it so attractive,
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying the government getting in the way
Mm-hmm.
of it. They hate it because they can't control it.
Right.
And they don't like things they can't control.
Right.
How do you think they'll get in the way? Would they be able, hypothetically? And also hypothetically, do you think, let's say you owed $100,000 on your taxes. Mm-hmm. Could they then come in and say, because there's a limited supply of Bitcoin, they say, okay, well, we're only going to charge you $50,000 if you pay in Bitcoin.
Well, sure.
So you give us your Bitcoin, and then that way they can take back the control.
Yeah, they negotiate, with taxpayers all the time.
But I'm wondering if they'll give them less of a rate to try to take over the Bitcoin.
I don't know. I don't work for the IRS or know anybody that does.
So
but
how do you think they would regulate it, and how could we fight back? Because people are like, wait a second, you screwed up that currency. Why would you screw up this one?
They already are. There's already things that are happening. For example, starting last year, if you go to your tax form, right under your name and address and social security number, the very first question is a checkbox. Have you traded in any cryptocurrencies or digital currencies in the year? It's the first thing they want to know.
Well, they want their tax
because they're missing out on a lot of money. Now, I've been smart enough to say yes, and here's what I've made, and here's what I owe, and track my crypto buys and sells. And that's why I like to hold a lot, hold instead of sell, because then you get your long-term capital gains. People who trade, like day traders, every transaction is a taxable event.
Right.
That's a pain in the butt, but you got to do it. So that's one thing. They're looking at that. They don't know what they're doing with it yet.
No.
The
government doesn't know what they're doing at all.
Right.
You say the government, and I'll show you a kindergarten class. That's what I feel like we're watching.
Right.
Anything they touch, they F up.
Yeah.
It's like, don't touch this. Bitcoin's a good thing. Can you leave it alone?
Were you going to say fart? Was that
I was going to say fuck, and then I censored myself for some
and
reason. And I don't, and I cuss on this show sometimes, so it doesn't matter.
I wish it had been fart, though.
I know. I used to have a fart keychain.
Because I made the iFart app, so that's...
That's right, you did. I had this farting keychain, and I loved it. I would play it in my pocket in the elevator, and it was just I literally was like a 13-year-old middle school boy. I was like, I love farting.
You don't
Not
look like
farting, but like farting, like the fart sounds, and just seeing people's faces.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
Silent but deadly. Hang on.
Do it again. Don't you have a better one? That one's wet.
I have.
That's a wet fart.
I have so many. Here's the brown mosquito. Where's the speaker on this thing? Is it down at the bottom?
Down at the bottom. That is some bad Taco Bell right there.
Oh, my favorite is actually a political one. We released a bunch of fart packs, and one of them is called the Trump Dump. This is great.
It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. And
Anyway,
so
you didn't say fart, you said fuck. So
that's on the iTunes store?
Yeah, you can get
I love that we went from Bitcoin to farts.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go back.
Well, that's
and
what
then we'll probably
happens
go back to farts.
with me. I mean,
I love it.
I don't look like I'm 12 years old, but inside I am perpetually.
Yeah. Why grow up? It's not fun
You
when
know,
you grow up.
I've got the adulting thing down
Yeah.
to an art and a science, both.
Okay.
Scientifically, artfully, and fartfully, I can adult like the best of them. Be completely responsible, take, ownership of my own stuff. But the growing up thing,
That's for the bird.
that's never going to happen. It's keeping a playful attitude and doing what you love to do is where you're going to bring the most value to the world around you, and you're going to be the most fulfilled and joyful and content.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's what I do. That's why, I write books, and my last book was called The Fun Formula.
And is that available on all platforms?
Yeah.
Okay. So the fun formula. So check that out.
Yeah, it's how curiosity, risk-taking, and serendipity can revolutionize how you work and really live. That was just too long of a title, so I didn't.
That's good. That's excellent.
You shall leave with a copy today because I have them sitting right over there.
Only if it's signed.
Okay.
I gotta have a signed copy.
Are you going to sign it?
No, you're gonna sign it. You're the author. I didn't write it.
To Madison, from Madison. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm the best.
All right, so back to Bitcoin, so we don't get too far off topic. So Bitcoin, obviously a good investment.
Well, I am not a financial advisor, and I don't give financial advice.
Right.
I give information. Our show, the Bad Crypto Podcast, it's not because crypto's bad. It's because myself and my co-host Travis are 12 years old, and we make a lot of bad jokes, but we have fun.
Yeah.
It's just
what life's about.
Right. And so we talk to interesting people, and we crack jokes with them, and we learn along the way. It's a journey that we're all taking together. And so there was a train that was going around there to the station, and it left.
Oh, we were saying, is Bitcoin a good investment?
Oh, yeah. So I don't, we're not financial advisors. I don't give investment advice. I mean, I even have friends all the time, especially more recently since Bitcoin is up, asking me, should I buy this or buy that? I'm like,
Here's the information. Do with it what you want.
I own this. Go do your own due diligence. I've had friends come to me. Here's what I tell people. If I'm going to give one piece of advice, it's more friendly advice. It's not investment advice. And that is, you want to buy crypto? Yes, I want to buy crypto. Okay. Do you know what you want to buy? I think I know what I want to buy. Okay. What I want you to do is take a chunk of money that you're thinking about investing and pretend you're lighting it on fire, and you'll never have it again. Are you okay with that? Then that's the amount that you'll want to invest. Don't invest what you can't afford to lose. Don't be stupid and chase the schemes. There's even Ponzi schemes in crypto. We've seen them come and go. I had somebody just yesterday say, hey, check out this. What do you think of it? And I went and I looked, and there's a 2x8 matrix or whatever. I'm like, oh, dear God, don't do that.
So you should, if you're gonna buy it, go make sure you're on an established platform like a Coinbase.
Yeah, well, and if you're gonna invest, you can look at cryptos, some of them like penny stocks, right? Because there's thousands of them now.
Yeah.
Thousands. And so some of them you want to treat. They're called altcoins, alternative coins. Really, everything that's not Bitcoin is considered an altcoin. Even the top ones like Ethereum and Litecoin, Polkadot. There's some that have a huge market cap, but they would still be considered an altcoin. And those are riskier, right? Bitcoin is risky enough. We see fluctuations in a day, of 10, 20%. I mean, I remember in 2017, by the end of the year, we hit almost 20,000. Actually, it was the beginning of 2018. And then it fell to 3,500.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, if they sold, lost money. Now, if you didn't sell, guess what? It went up to 42,000 almost just, a month or so ago. So if you would have just, what we like to say, hodl instead of holding, it's a reversal of the consonants there, which the internet has seized upon.
Okay.
We hodl our Bitcoin, and you would have been extremely profitable.
Right.
If you had held on to it. So you only lose in a transaction if you sell when it's down.
Yes, absolutely. That's why people just need to kind of ride it out. They're
You
like,
do.
Oh, I lost money. I'm like, did you sell it? And if you didn't sell it, you technically did not lose money.
Right. And you have to have the stomach for it too. Fortunately, I have a sizable enough man's stomach on me.
It looks fine.
And it can weather most of those storms. Once you've been in Bitcoin for 6 months, you've seen some sort of wild swing, right? 6-9 months. Odds are you're going to see. Right now, we've been on a bull run that's been longer than.
Do you think it's coming down before it shoots back up?
It always goes up and down, right?
Yeah.
Up, down. Crypto's up, crypto goes up, crypto goes down. It's like the love roller coaster,
What do you think causes the ups and downs?
A number of things. First of all, what's actually happening in the world. Bitcoin prospers under turmoil, right? When the world financial systems look unstable, people look for safe havens. So they turn to precious metals, and they turn to crypto now more because crypto and Bitcoin has been compared. It's like digital gold.
Yeah,
right?
It's like the new commodity.
It's digital gold. It's a store of wealth. Only unlike gold, it's gone, crazy. I mean, a year ago, February, Bitcoin was probably about $7,000 a Bitcoin. So if you would have bought a year ago,
I think it was all the way down to 4 in
it did.
March.
It did. Okay, there you go. So it was at 4 in March, and you bought then.
I know.
You are 8x right now. Wow. So $100 put in March in Bitcoin, you would have $800 now. I mean, you can't get that in a mutual fund or a savings account or, in most cases, not even the stock market.
Right. So obviously when we see deep dives with Bitcoin, like
Hold
20%, it's because people are selling out of it.
It's because people are selling. They're fearful, right? Warren Buffett said, be greedy when other people are fearful. Be fearful when other people are greedy, right? It's really, that is some solid investment advice. But people, when they see things falling, they panic and they capitulate and they sell. And I've done it before. I don't have this figured out. I sold Bitcoin, some of my Bitcoin. I don't have a lot, but I sold portions of it at a bad time to sell. I should have just weathered the storm. But you learn, you learn these lessons along the way of buying and selling. And it turns out, for the most part, unless you're just riding a hype train for a crypto, it's turned out for many of them to be better to just hold on.
Right.
Especially if you believe in the project, right? There's so much more. Bitcoin is just Bitcoin, its only purpose is a currency. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do anything else. You can't tell it sit, stay, roll over, fetch.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we now have all these institutional investors that are getting into it, which has helped drive up the price.
Right. Let me finish the question you asked me, because you said what causes it. One is the fear or the hype, right? The FOMO, fear of missing out of it going up, people jumping in. So that can cause wild fluctuations. Then you've got institutional investors, which over the past couple of years, especially this last year, have grown dramatically. I mean, we're seeing billions of dollars put into Bitcoin now by the institutional investors who have been waiting on the sidelines. Yeah. Then you have the whales, right? The whales, the big holders that can manipulate whole markets. Elon Musk just this week, well, actually it was 2 weeks ago, he changed his bio on Twitter, erased whatever he had there, and it just says #Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from 32,000 to 37,500, that in a matter of hours. Yeah. Because this guy, who is the richest man in the world, is now advertising that he is behind Bitcoin.
Yeah.
45 million followers, and people are like, whoa, buy. Then you've got the exchanges that, they're in the business of buying and selling, trading crypto. And sometimes there are bad actors who knew where there's money there could be bad actors?
Yeah, right.
And it's not because
Money
crypto
drives the bad actors.
It's not because it's being used for illicit purposes. You hear about that in the news. Like if you're watching the traditional news, they're just lying to you. They're lying out their asses, and their asses are their faces. You can tell because their lips are moving.
I know. I can't believe they can get away with these lies.
They do.
It's unbelievable.
They get away with, when I was younger, I remember hearing about the Soviet Union and Pravda, right? Pravda was their newspaper, which was their government-run media, which basically just issued propaganda. They just lied to the people all the time through TV, through print. They just lied to them. It told them what the state-run government wanted them to believe.
Well, they wanted to scare them because person in fear is very controllable.
Yes. Well, guess what we have in America now? We have Pravda, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, CBS, all down the line. And people don't even realize that they are being fed so much bullshit.
Fed a narrative that's not even true.
It's not even true, but
you want to feel happy? Shut off the news. Shut it off.
Yeah.
They will go. A different algorithm, I think, will be fed if we stop paying attention to some of it.
Well, and a lot of people
But it takes a lot of us.
There's more and more people that are waking up. And part of this, the crypto and blockchain revolution is about decentralizing from the forces that have sought to impose their will on people of the world, not just in America, all over the world, right? It's part of its freedom, its liberty. It's empowering the people, and this is why it's so brilliant, and it's decentralizing. It is one of the reasons that it's unstoppable money.
Yeah.
That terrifies the powers that be.
So how do you think that they would come in and fuck it up, and how do we prevent it?
Well, they're already doing it by, especially in the U.S., the land of the free, home of the brave.
Yeah.
For years, they've made it so regular ordinary Americans can't invest in, a lot of stock offerings unless they're qualified investors.
Yeah.
Right? You have to prove that you've got a net worth of $1 million. Or
it was accredited. I think it was
right.
$250,000.
Accredited investors. So wait, you're telling me I can go to Las Vegas and I can bet $10,000 on black or red, or I can go down to the corner store and buy a lottery ticket and fill the state coffers with hundreds of millions of dollars to give away. But I can't make a educated decision or even an uneducated decision to buy shares in a stock because I don't have. They're trying to protect people.
Bullshit. Sorry.
Nonsense.
Calling bullshit.
Nonsense. Getting in the way of humans being able to make their own decisions.
Well, especially with the stock market as it is now, with the rates being so low, you've really just widened the income gap.
Here's a case in point.
The inequality has just gone through the roof. How do you stop it? Well, you raise the rates. What's raising the rates? It's going to drive the market down and the housing prices down, which makes it more affordable for the common person to get in, like myself, which is great.
You're not common.
But, thank you. But that was one of my questions is when interest rates eventually go up. Now, Jay Powell keeps saying, we're going to keep it down for the foreseeable future, but this can't go on forever. No. What's that going to do to crypto? Is that going to help increase the value?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as the
more people will turn there when things go down.
As traditional systems collapse, people look for alternative systems that aren't collapsing. And Bitcoin, like I said, it's unstoppable money.
And they can't screw it up and print it. They can't create more of it.
Nope.
So it can't be, it's still deflationary, not
still
inflationary. So
now,
it always has that value.
Now what'll happen is when the fiat currencies go away, they'll transition to a federal crypto, a Fed coin of some kind, right? That'll still be a government issued crypto that they can control, and it'll be a stable coin, right? $1 will always equal $1. And
so that's what you'll sell out of your other cryptocurrencies into. Because right now when people say, you're not really rich in Bitcoin, you're rich in US dollars based on that conversion rate at that time.
Well, you can look at the US dollars to give you an idea of what value is being put on it, but there's going to come a time where people are spending their crypto now. You can buy a house with Bitcoin. You can buy a car with Bitcoin.
Let's talk about that, because people are saying, okay, so if I go in and I buy a $500,000 home with Bitcoin, okay, or let's just say a 300, it was around 36,000 today. So let's say we bought a $360,000 home for 10 Bitcoin.
Okay.
We give 10 Bitcoin. The transaction closes that day because it's on a decentralized platform, so it goes through faster. So you don't need as many hands in the transaction anymore, which is good. The next day,
the realtors of the world just went.
I know. Sorry, don't blame me.
6%.
Adapt.
That's right.
And then the next day it goes down to 32,000. Well, that doesn't affect me. That would affect the buyer. Or is my house based in Bitcoin now? So if it goes down to 32,000, I just lost 40,000 on the value of my home.
Well, no.
How does that work?
No, I mean your house is just like if you paid that in cash today and they
so it's still cash, but it's like, okay, this is $360,000, but we're gonna accept Bitcoin, and 10 Bitcoins on today's market right now is equivalent to
right now
$360,000.
the broker who takes that money, right, or whoever the owner who takes it, and now they've got that Bitcoin, they have a choice. Do I sell it? Do I sell some of it? Do I hold it? Do I believe that 300 that's went from 360 to 320, that next week it might be 400, right? That's kind of
right. So that's the only way, because if you sold your house today in US dollars and you just took the cash, well, it depends on what you do with it.
right.
So you're not really getting as much of a value. So who's taking Bitcoins for homes?
I mean, it's not like you can go to Remax and do that, but people are selling homes for Bitcoin. I mean, just go and go search for, who's doing that. But they're doing it for all kinds of things.
And how do they pay in crypto? How do they do that? Do they go on a Coinbase exchange and
well, you just send
transfer
Bitcoin from one wallet to the other. And now, because it's on this decentralized ledger, you have the proof. Nobody can say, well, you didn't send me the money. I'm not giving you the title. No, here it is. It's on the blockchain. There's the transaction ID. There's my wallet. There's your wallet. It shows that the Bitcoin is in your wallet. I have all the proof.
yeah.
It's not even up for debate. You can't dispute the blockchain transactions. They're not alterable. You can't go in there and go, I'm going to go change a digit on the blockchain. No, it's written. It's like
it's right. It's unhackable, which is
it's engraving it into stone. Kind of like, if it was a caveman, they're like, ding, ding, ding on the wall. There it is. It's written on the wall in hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Can't change it.
Which is, so that is pretty cool that's already starting. We're going to kind of see that happen more and more.
Yeah, people are selling cars for Bitcoin. You've got professional athletes that are saying they want half their salary in Bitcoin. Yeah. Football, basketball. They know.
They're like, this is going up, and I'm going to get paid even more.
Well,
it was like Giselle. Remember, she wanted to get paid in some different currency.
I don't know who a Giselle is.
Giselle Bundchen. She's married to Tom Brady.
Okay.
The hot supermodel.
Okay. Well, now I know who you're.
So she was like one of the top supermodels in the world at one time, and she wanted a different currency because it would make her more. And I was like, smart woman.
Very
or whoever
smart.
her manager
well,
is, but smart.
Look
at
it this way. Let's say you've got a contract with the NFL for $20 million or whatever, and how much do you need? I'll take half of that in Bitcoin. Like the 10 million, other 10 million
right, 'cause
isn't
that could
enough.
be worth 50 million one day.
Right, or more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's switch gears before we run out of time. I want to talk about Ethereum.
Okay.
Ethereum does more. It's more of a technology platform that things can run on. It does more than Bitcoin. So I read an interesting article. I forgot the guy who wrote it. But it was something about like the tech revolution, the 3.0, right? You had the first one, the second one, this is the third one. That because it does so much more, it's going to surpass Bitcoin one day.
It can surpass Bitcoin in terms of dollar volume, right? Because there's more Ethereum on the market, for one, and it has more practical applications. So Ethereum also can be treated as a crypto. So I can send you Ethereum as payment for something.
I just bought some this morning.
But what it's really, where its strength is at, is the blockchain itself has smart contracts enabled, which means it's programmable. So we can code on Ethereum. We can put if-then statements into it. For example, one of my favorite examples to use is the music industry, which is very broken. Ask any artist who gets paid by the number of streams, on Spotify. I think it was a couple years ago, Peter Frampton was interviewed, and something like, "Do you feel like we do?" Or one of his songs had something like 50 million streams on Spotify. He made $1,500 from that.
What the?
Right. That's it. What the fart. So now imagine, and this is happening now, that there are platforms that are starting to do this. Emanate is one of them. Emanate.live, I believe, is the platform where there's musicians on there that sell their music for a native token that would be Ethereum based on this platform. And when I buy the song, I'm not just licensing it, I own it. You go on iTunes and you buy a song, guess what? You don't actually own it. You're licensing it. But using blockchain, I can own. That is my copy of the song. It's identified on blockchain as mine. There's an ID to go with it. I own that copy of the song. Well, here's what Ethereum could do. Ethereum can say, let's say you're the musician. You're not just a comedian now. You're a rock star.
Yeah.
And you've got a drummer and a bass player and a guitar player. And in the smart contract, you can say, every time I sell this song for $1, I want 5% of it to go to the drummer. I want 5% of it to go to the bass player. I want 6% to go to my mom because she's the one who inspired me to become this, musician. I want 2% to go to my manager because he sucks. You write that. It can get written into the smart contract. In the moment, now, with royalties, I'm an author, so I get book royalties.
Yeah.
It takes 6 months after a 6-month period to get paid your royalties. But with crypto, the moment person goes and buys that song from you for $1, the transaction is instant, and all of the disbursements are made into the wallets of those people you have indicated should receive a percentage.
That's awesome.
Like that. It happens and it's done. The purchase is made, the person owns the song, and everybody got paid.
Yeah.
There's no waiting. There's no paperwork.
Waiting for lawyers, waiting for people, middlemen, and it cuts out all the bullshit.
That's the power of Ethereum, and that's just one use case. There's just hundreds and hundreds, and people are coming up with all kinds of new ones for use in, tracking your medical data on blockchain, for tracking insurance, for tracking real estate, for all kinds of entertainment.
Yeah.
Centric issues. Is just, there's so many uses.
So what do you think do you know how many are in circulation of Ethereum?
No, but I could tell you if I go to CoinGecko.
Oh, perfect. CoinGecko. Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you think the value could go up? I mean, it was about 1,600 this morning.
Yeah, it's at an all-time high right now. It's at 1,619 as of this recording. The total supply of Ethereum is 114.5 million. That's the available supply. So it's more than 4 times the supply of Bitcoin. But it does something. It's apples and oranges in the crypto world. It does something different than what Bitcoin is designed to do.
So the value won't go up as fast as Bitcoin because there's so much more of them.
Well,
so many more of them.
I don't know if it's that won't go up as fast. It might not go as high because there's more, there's 4.5 times, 5 times or more of the supply of them. So they're easier to get. Also, there's not as many lost. With Bitcoin, there's several million Bitcoin that are lost forever because they were mined in those very early years. And
right,
some people didn't take it seriously.
Yep.
My co-host Travis, he mined 55 Bitcoin just trying it out in like 2012 or 13.
Wow.
And that hard drive got thrown away with the computer, and it's somewhere in a dump in Kansas City. And they're gone, and he doesn't have the keys to be able, because it doesn't actually live on the hard drive, but the keys that he had, the passwords, were there on that hard drive as well.
Yeah, you're hearing this a lot. So
right?
that was just with Bitcoin and not...
That was just, he had 55 Bitcoin.
Because can people mine Ethereum?
People
you can mine any
Well, no,
coin.
not all coins are mineable, but Ethereum is mineable. Some coins are...
Is it the same process where you're in a server, kind of in a
Yes.
farm server? Okay, so a lot of energy.
An Ethereum transaction takes 40 confirmations in order for it to be validated. So there's more hands on deck, so to speak, with computers. But there's some coins that are pre-mined completely. Like you heard about Ripple, XRP,
Yeah, that's supposed to be another one that
which
people are
is
hot on.
actually a highly centralized. There's a lot of people that dislike Ripple because there's a pre-mine and because there is a central organization
Like a
called
company.
Ripple. There's a company with a CEO. Now, there's other companies in crypto as well, lots of them now, that have some aspect of centralization to them, but some are more centralized.
And that means when you say centralization that there's a company behind it. Like
And they
Apple
have-
is central.
Right. They have control, basically.
Right, where
over it.
Bitcoin or Ethereum, there's no company. There's just
Correct.
a code.
There's no Ethereum Inc. You cannot find the headquarters of Ethereum. Now, you can point to Vitalik Buterin, who was, I think, 18 or 19 when he came up with it, who is the creator of Ethereum, but he doesn't run. There is an Ethereum Foundation that is put together by the people.
So it seems that some of these cryptos are starting because they want the company or the customers to do something for them, right? And then they reward them in crypto.
Sure, that's happening.
Right. So with that, so they're saying if you do this, you're mining crypto. You're earning crypto.
You're earning it. Yeah.
Right. So you're doing. Do you think that's going to happen more and more?
Oh, yeah.
And I want to go back real quick because you said something that's stuck in my head. You said there's so many. How do you identify a Ponzi scheme for a cryptocurrency?
Well, if there's no product that's actually being delivered, if it's, hey, you can make money by investing in this and telling two friends, and they buy it. It's old. It's
like the internet videos, right? Where they keep you on a journey and you keep seeing Ferraris and yachts for like an hour. And then they're
Right.
like, now you have to spend this. You're like, what?
Correct. There was one that went defunct more than 2 years ago called BitConnect. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, go read the history of BitConnect. It was the worst of multi-level marketing combined with crypto. And when it crashed and burned, it brought down the whole house of cards. And it hurt Bitcoin too, because whenever that happens, when there's bad news in the crypto world, even if it has nothing to do with Bitcoin, it's going to impact because the news leaches onto it.
Right. So do you think there's so many coins out there. How does one look at it and say this is a good coin to get into? It's still a risk.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you identify like a crap coin?
Same way that you would with a stock, right? You do your own due diligence. You research the company. In this case, you research the coin. You look at their official website. If they have a white paper, and they should, what's it say in it? What are they all about? What's their mission? Who are their advisors? What's their team made of? What practical purpose does it serve? What need does it meet, right? Ask yourself the question you would ask to invest in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Go read what other people are saying, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And then make a decision. Do I believe, based on everything I've researched here, that this is a good investment? Or do I want to run from this like it's the plague? And I've encountered both time and time again.
So there's this one coin that Elon Musk was pushing.
Dogecoin.
What the? I keep looking at it. It was at 3 cents. Now it's at 5 cents. And it was at 4 cents. People are like, it's rallying. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, so Dogecoin was actually a meme coin that was created as a joke, right? This guy basically said, oh, well, if, Bitcoin can exist, I'm going to write this code. That's basically a fork of Bitcoin, and we're going to base it on the Shiba Inu, meme, the dog.
Yep.
The cutest dogs.
They are cute.
And we're going to make it so anybody can mine it. And there'll be faucets. And then people started paying each other with it. I'll give you 10,000 Doge for whatever this, thing.
Mm-hmm.
People started exchanging it. And it built a community around it. People rallied around this coin. And so Elon Musk started tweeting about it as a joke. But one of the things he actually tweeted today was that Dogecoin is money of the people. Right? Because people get to decide what to do with it, what value to place on it. And it's still mineable. It's still very accessible, unlike Bitcoin. And there is what's called a Doge army. The community is so big now that people are spreading the word as though it was the gospel,
I've heard that, but why is it worth so little?
Because there's billions of coins. not just millions.
So it's important when you're investing in a crypto to find out how many are in circulation.
Right. Yeah. That's part of your due diligence is I like CoinGecko.
Because the less that are in circulation, the higher that the proposed value can go.
Indeed. Right.
So it's kind of Bitcoin and then Ethereum's kind of next in line. It's the big one.
In terms of the big ones, XRP, Ripple is a big one. There's another player that is an Ethereum alternative that really sprung up a few months ago called Polkadot. DOT.
How much is that
token.
one at right now?
And right now it's at $20.14. It's number 5 in crypto market caps.
And how can you kind of get behind and kind of see that there's a positive there?
A positive what? Behind the project?
To put money into Polka.
Well, you would want to go and do your research.
Yeah.
Again, you go look at the website.
See what they're doing.
Join the communities. Like go on Telegram, go on Discord, go on Twitter, go, all this, the projects have sites and they link to their socials and go read, go see what people are saying and look for the negative things that they're saying and then question those things. Question everything. Question everything you hear on the news. Question everything you read. Question everything people tell you. Ask questions. Don't take anything at face value because this world is just full of people. And if there's one thing we know about people, they are fallible. Yeah. We screw things up. And some of them are just downright evil and manipulative.
Yeah. No, it did. It's very well said.
I would drop this mic if I could, but it's on a stand and I don't want it to break.
You could play your fart thing again. You gotta play the patriotic fart before we wrap up. Or the Trump fart. That was so funny. Okay. And so wait, so this has been amazing. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions. Okay, this is one very important question. Because the Federal Reserve corruption, central banks corruption. People just hear these terms thrown around, but they don't understand exactly what's going on and how evil they really are.
It's rigged. It's a rigged system.
Trump
for
was
the
elite.
Right. You know what? In retrospect, he was right about just about everything. Even hydroxychloroquine. Do you know how many people died?
I had somebody on my podcast in April about hydroxychloroquine, and she was talking about how she was being threatened.
Yeah. And he was right. He was right because he just told the truth. That, you know what?
Yeah, whether you love him or hate him, you got to just look at the facts. And that's the thing is we got to stop putting our emotions and our opinions behind our decisions. You got to look at the facts.
Have you seen the video yet by that rapper, Tom? I can't remember his last name. I want to say Richardson or something. He is like, to look at him, you would want to judge him by his look because the hair, the tats, the piercings and all that. And he's a rapper who came out with a song called Fake Woke. And it is the most powerful rap song that I remember hearing that is addressing what is actually happening in the world right now. And it went to number 1 on iTunes. Of course, Apple didn't like that because the social justice warriors there. Like,
they don't want to screw up their power. They got the power at the top and they want to keep it that way,
Go watch the video, though, and you'll be like, oh, my gosh, yes.
I will. I'm going to go watch it tonight. What's it called again?
Fake Woke.
Fake Woke. Okay, so go check that out. But do you think with the rise of cryptocurrency that we will eventually see central banks start to close down?
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, not for them, it isn't. I mean,
but for the people. I'm talking about the people. Forget this elite that we don't even know their names because they're so big that have been running everything, right? Rothschild, Rockefeller. It's time to put the power in the hands of the people, which is why I love the word decentralization.
Me too.
So hopefully crypto is exactly something that we the people can control and the government can't fuck up. And on that note, do your research. Go to Coinbase. I really like that exchange. Is there another exchange that you like?
So here's the deal with Coinbase. It's the most popular one because it's one of the most accessible. They made it easy for U.S. citizens. The Coinbase is working closely with the government and Securities Exchange Commission. So
they're about to IPO.
They kind of have the government seal of approval, which to me is not necessarily a good thing, right? Because it means that somebody's got their hands in somebody else's pockets. Here's the main thing to remember. If you're going to buy cryptocurrency, trade it on an exchange, but don't keep it on an exchange. Because they are custodian for your private keys. Your private keys are what empower you to hold your crypto.
So where do you put it?
In a personal wallet, right? You have your own wallet. There's wallets you can download for your phone. There's wallets you can download for most coins for your desktop, your laptop. And then there's what they call cold storage wallets. There's devices. One of them's called a Trezor or Trezor, depending upon how I feel like pronouncing it that day. Trezor, and it holds your keys on this device that is not connected to the internet, right?
So what are some of the wallets? So if I have Bitcoin in Coinbase, I don't want to sell it because I want to ride up.
You want to move it out into a wallet that you hold the private keys for.
Where do I go? How do I do that?
So that's a longer question. It's not that complicated, but trying to describe it to you here, what I would just do is say how to go to, YouTube or Rumble, somewhere they have videos, and say, how do I move my Bitcoin from Coinbase to a private wallet? And you'll see.
But you're still not selling out of it, so you're still writing up the gain. But at least you're
just holding it
so
yourself.
Why do you
it's in your
think
possession.
You don't want to keep it on an exchange like Coinbase?
I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Somebody that I know had a Bitcoin. It was worth $10,000 at the time. Their phone got jacked. Somebody SIM jacked them. I think they were on AT&T. But basically, they lost control of their phone. And because somebody else had control of their phone and their email, they were able to log in and get that Bitcoin off of Coinbase and take it. Now it's gone forever, and there's no recourse. It's not FDIC.
So they were able to log in because they were able to hack it. So even their thumbprint and all that and the passwords, they could still get it.
Yeah, and they didn't have two-factor authentication turned on, which you always
should have that.
All of your cryptos.
Yeah.
Not just SMS, because somebody has your phone, they can do SMS.
I know. Then you
phone.
Just put it right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So this scares people a little bit, and you should be, because there's bad people out there that want to take your stuff.
I'm nervous too because I've kept it all on Coinbase.
Time to move it off. It's time to get it off.
So we'll have to talk offline, and then I'll put it in the show notes of some good ones.
Just get a Trezor. Just go. It's like $70 on Amazon to get a Trezor, and then it's really self-explanatory. You plug it in.
And then the value keeps going up, but the actual Bitcoin's on there, so nobody can sell it throughout the Trezor.
Right. Now, here's the thing. The Bitcoin doesn't actually, you can't see Bitcoin.
It's all digital.
It's like the wind. It's you could feel the effects of the wind, but you can't see the wind.
Yeah.
I think it was a Billy Graham thing, right? He said that once. You can see the effect. He was talking about God and the Holy Spirit. You can't see the wind, but you can see the effects of the wind.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Cool. Well, Bitcoin doesn't actually live in a wallet. It doesn't actually live in Coinbase. It lives on the blockchain, right? And so your Bitcoin is on the blockchain, and that means even if you lost the wallet that you were keeping the keys on, as long as you knew your address and you knew your private key, you can pull up a new wallet and access that Bitcoin. It's basically having
or just go into Coinbase.
Well, if your crypto's on Coinbase, you don't have the private keys. They are custodian for it.
Okay, so the main reason is to take it off.
So you can be the custodian. The old saying is, not your keys, not your crypto.
Interesting. And the other thing, too, is you have these exchanges that some people are saying aren't that stable. But not all cryptos are hosted on all exchanges. Like, for example, there's some cryptos that you can get through Binance.
Right.
Somebody I was talking to this past weekend said, don't leave your money in Binance. You could wake up one morning and they could be gone.
Don't leave your money on any exchange, period. That's it. Use exchanges for what?
So we got to talk off more to where I can get it into a wallet and put that in the show notes, because it's very important, because I think people like myself thought, oh, I'll do the Coinbase and then I'll be good. I know we have to wrap up, but I'm going to drop this quickly. When I first did Bitcoin, I went into the Grayscale ETF Bitcoin fund. And then I heard that basically the fees are baked in and they're about 40%. And I said, oh, well, fuck that. So I sold those shares and then went directly into a fraction of the coins through Coinbase. But now I realize there's another step. So that's the thing with crypto, you guys. I think a lot of people get scared of it because they're like, it's hard to understand.
Well, and
it's hard to keep, and now you're hearing people being like, "Oh, I lost this, and now it's gone," and da da da.
It's more user friendly now than it's been, and think about it this way: if somebody came to you and said, "Okay, I'm giving you a piece of plastic, and there's this magnetic stripe on it, and you need to know how this works before you swipe it," you'd be like, "What?" Can I just swipe it and it works? Well, that's how credit cards work now, right? Except now we have this little chip on there. You stick it in the thing, and it comes out on your Visa statement. Do you know how that works?
Did all the stuff that happens behind it? No.
I don't know how it works. I just know that it works.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we're going with crypto, right? And tools are being developed. Technologies are advancing.
It's going to be more common to where it's like having money in the bank.
Of course it will. I mean, I remember using DOS on my PC, right?
Okay.
Operating systems prior to Windows. Before we had point and click, you had to type to get your computer to do things. And you had to know, sometimes to make things work, you'd have to tweak it. You'd have to find the right commands. Now we just point, click, boom, open this up and do this, right? So crypto in the beginning was all like typing code, and then some tools started being developed and friendly wallets that make it a lot more plug and play and point and click user friendly. It's going to get even easier. And that's what happens when you have mainstream adoption. We're not there yet. We are 12 years since the white paper has been written. Really, Bitcoin just had its 12th birthday in January. Every January is the anniversary of the year the first block was mined.
Wow.
Right? And so we're 12 years into it. That is called the pioneer phase.
Yeah.
We are just now, over this last year, I would say, moving into early adopter phase. The
so it's just going to get bigger.
Right. It's the bell curve, right? So actually left to right. So we're here, and then the mass adoption comes, right? And then you hit peak adoption. And that's a few years off before we get there. That's, quite a few years off still.
So I think it's good, a key of a portfolio is to have diversification.
I think
it's very important to have crypto in there along with other things.
Yeah. It's good to have some cash on hand in case of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Precious metals, my understanding is those have always been a reasonable safe haven, even though the price of gold and silver are manipulated horribly.
Yeah.
It's terrible. They're trading 500 times the amount of silver that's actually in supply on paper, and they're suppressing the price of it.
How the heck is that even legal?
It
Everything they do is illegal, and they get away with it because rules for thee, not for me, right?
Correct.
Is that the whole thing?
That's the thing.
So, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, are they going to
like on Instagram? No, not your address. Like on Instagram, your website.
I'll be walking down the street tomorrow.
Because your books, you have amazing books that are out there. I know we just talked about crypto, but you mentioned one of the books. But I know you have multiple books.
I have no crypto books.
I think you that should be your next thing.
Here's the thing. It changes so quickly.
True.
That by the time it goes to print, there's already going to be things. And I'm like, hey, I've written 15 books. I think I'm good. Now I podcast. I do a lot of content, on video and audio. And I don't know that I want to write a book about something that's, by the time I finish the sentence, they've already change something.
That's a good point. So what's your website where they can find?
Joelcom.com.
Okay. And then
that is my real name.
Yep. And then your Bad Crypto, there's a link to the podcast. So he's the host of the Bad Crypto podcast. Definitely check that out. That's amazing. And all your books are on there as well?
Yeah. Or go to Amazon, just type my name and you'll see them.
Perfect.
Or just
you're like a celebrity. And you invite the coolest thing you've done though is the fart app. I have to say that because I like farts. I
don't disagree.
I don't like farting. I like seeing people's faces when there's a loud fart in a public space.
You do too.
That is the best. It depends on who's around.
I think that
everybody loves farting alone.
This is the Stinkosaurus Rex.
Here we go. All right, play the Trump one more time, and then we're gonna side out.
Leave on a high note. Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna leave on a shit note, a high note, a good note.
Here we go.
It's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it.
That's amazing. All right, you guys, check out joelcom.com to get more information. If you have any questions, you can always contact us at contact@nexttomadison. And thank you again for listening to another episode of Next to Madison. We'll see you guys next time to find out who's next. Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@next2madison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.